And I'm standing on the sidelines during pregame. They hadn't come out yet. And he comes running out of the tunnel with his teammates. And it really hit me, just what you said, how big he really is. Because he's a great athlete. You can see that. You can see how he moves, how he runs, how smooth he is. But then when you see how big he is to put that combination together, it's really impressive. Anytime. Thanks for having me on. Look at all those game balls you got behind you there.
Hey, Jimmy Johnson gave me those game balls. There's my 2 national championship rings, my NFL alumni ring.
Nice.
Big Sills likes to toot his horn. Hey, Tom, I was just talking, when I love Anthony Lynn, and I think today when you're looking at the position of quarterback, it's no shade on Anthony. It's sometimes when you find a guy like Justin Herbert and you're looking at evaluating him, you also have to evaluate the coaching staff on looking at whether or not this is a fit. And I know you have great respect for Anthony, as everyone in the league does. I mean, did it just come down to that where you're looking at it like this? Anthony, we love you, man, but it's all about really evaluating, can we get the best out of Justin Herbert with this staff versus maybe what you did with Brandon Staley, and that's why you came to this decision. Is that kind of what weighed into it a little bit?
Well, I mean, let's not forget either that Anthony was a big part of us evaluating Justin when we drafted him. I mean, he was 100% on board with it, and did a great job as far as giving the coach's point of view of the quarterback position, what he saw, what he liked, and he's a big part of that. But as you look for the leader of your football team, it's got to be more than just how they're going to handle the quarterback. It's got to be the whole team. And that's where we are. We didn't hire Brandon just for how he's going to handle Justin Herbert. It's how he's going to handle the whole team. So, but for us, it just felt like it was the right time for a change. It happens in this league, happens to all of us. But it's been great. We've basically a brand new staff: offense, defense, special teams, and it's brand new schemes on all 3 sides of the ball. And at least on offense here, since I arrived, we've essentially run the same offense up until this coming year. We had Ken Wisenhunt and Frank Reich, Shane Steichen, basically the same offense. And we had Phillip Rivers, so that was pretty normal, pretty common. But there's some excitement here. It's new, a new feeling on offense, new feeling on defense, and it's exciting.
You know what, too, Tom? I got to tell you, man, I love also the fact that you guys are evaluating and you guys are developing coaches. We had Frank Reich on the show a couple weeks ago. We're going to get Nick Sirianni on in the next couple days. These guys were all in that coaching staff when you guys were in San Diego. I mean, it's pretty cool to see that, you're looking not only just at the players when you're evaluating, but you're constantly looking at your coaching staff too. So, I mean, all of this really is under your umbrella. It's pretty impressive.
Well, we do like to see our front office personnel, our scouts, our coaches. We want to see them move on to bigger and better things. I mean, I got to this position because Bill Polian liked to see us move on to bigger and better things. So, yes, we're all here to win for the Chargers. We understand that, and everyone knows their responsibilities. But we'd also like to develop everybody so they can move on and move up the ladder in their careers. We saw that with Nick Sirianni, certainly. And other coaches that have moved on from here. And that's part of this process. I mean, there's a development process to it. There's an individual process to it, and there's a team process. You have to know the difference between the two. I can tell you on our staff right now, and it's a younger staff, we have some really high-level assistant coaches here right now that I think are going to move on to bigger and better things. But right now, obviously, our focus is on this year. But it's a good staff we have right now.
And I've said this before too about, evaluating players and looking at where you are now. There just seems to be like that new wave guy where you're looking at, can this guy develop an offensive game plan? Can he work with his offensive coordinator? Can he work with his defensive coordinator? Don't you agree, Tom? One of the biggest problems that young coaches have, and Brandon will face this just like every other coach, including Bill Parcells. How are you helping him go from being an assistant to being a head coach? Because, if it's tough for the player to go from the college ranks to go to the NFL, to go from an assistant to, like what you just said, being a delegator with all the responsibilities out there, how are you helping him with that process?
Well, the one way I can, because I went through the same thing, obviously not as a head coach, but as I moved into the GM chair, it's a lot different than being a director of player personnel or being a scout. There's just a lot more on your plate. So what I can provide to Brandon is really just perspective. I don't have all the answers, I know that, but I can give him perspective of 27 years in the league and seeing a lot of things and seeing different coaches, seeing the Tony Dungy's of the world and Jim Caldwell's and Anthony Lynn and everybody in between, even Marv Levy when I was, a summer intern with the Bills. But just get some perspective and resources. That's a lot of the GM's job is not just about how much players get paid or the draft. It's really about giving everybody resources to do their job, whether it's the head coach, assistant coaches, whether it's our training room, equipment room, give them what they need to do what they do best. But I can tell you just from the short time since Brandon started in January, this job is not too big for him at all. He's moved right into it. He can handle a lot of work. He's got great time management skills. He knows how to handle this job along with handling his family, which we all have on the outside of here. And it's been seamless. It's been really, really great to see.
I had a chance to meet Justin Herbert about 2 years ago at the Pac-12 meetings in Los Angeles. I could not believe the freaking size on this kid. I mean, this dude is a horse. He's got Roethlisberger's size, but he's and no disrespect to Ben, no shade on Ben, but this kid is accurate. And what I love about Joe Cool, and I'm going to use a Montanaism on him here. We all love Tyrod Taylor. Nobody liked what happened last year and how that all happened before the Kansas City game. But somebody taps this kid on the shoulder and goes, "Oh, by the way, you're going to go out." This guy almost freaking beats the Chiefs. Tom, I mean, those for like 350 yards in the game. I'm like, this kid's special. Have you been surprised even with what you saw at Oregon?
Going back to what you said when you saw him at the media day, how big he is. So I'm at the Rose Bowl, and I'm standing on the sidelines during pregame. They hadn't come out yet, and he comes running out of the tunnel with his teammates. And it really hit me, just what you said, how big he really is, because he's a great athlete. You can see that. You can see how he moves, how he runs, how smooth he is. But then when you see how big he is to put that combination together, it's really impressive. But as far as last year, I mean, it's a great credit to Justin, obviously. It's a great credit to our coaches because they told him, you do need to be prepared to play. We don't know when that will be. We don't know when that opportunity will be there, but you need to be ready to go at a moment's notice. And, we didn't think it'd be that early, but it was that early. And he was ready to go. As you saw, he jumped into that game in short notice and had a great game and ended up having a great season. You tell it to players, a lot of young players, you tell them, hey, look, we don't know when your opportunity is going to present itself. We need to be ready for it. Some listen, some don't. Obviously, he listened, and he was ready to go for that game.
Your offensive line, maybe question marks that were coming out of 2020. How have you addressed that in this offseason?
We had 3 unrestricted free agents on the offensive line coming out of last season, so we had to make decisions. Do we sign these guys long-term? Or do we try and, make some pretty big changes? Now, it's hard. We end up flipping out, 4 starters on the offensive line. Very difficult to do. We had a plan in the offseason. Let's see how much we can improve the offensive line. Didn't know if we'd be able to replace 4 out of 5. Thought it may be a 2-year project more than one, but it worked out that we, in 1 year, we've got some new people up front. We're excited about it. The plan executed well. Second part of the plan is to make sure when they get on the field, everyone can play, right? So, but so far so good. We're excited about the group, both the run game and the pass game. It's more than just protecting Justin. We got to run the ball better when we have to run it and be more efficient doing that. So, that's all part of the plan as well.
Tom, I had a conversation here like 3 weeks ago with Kevin Colbert, and Kevin told me, the Pittsburgh Steelers general manager, he told me that he hadn't been in front of any of his draft choices because of this whole COVID thing, and that when they showed up was one of the very first times that the entire staff got a chance to be around these guys because of the protocols that were going on with COVID. I don't know. How do you guys evaluate just off of tape, not being around the kids enough? Because you like to have your hands on the guy, being in front of the guy, talking to the dude, not doing Zoom conference calls. This is pretty remarkable on what the NFL and general managers like yourself had to do with very limited contact with these players. I mean, evaluating for the draft must have been a nightmare.
It was different. It depends what your philosophies are. I came up a number of years in pro scouting before I was a general manager. And in pro scouting, you're only evaluating the tape on players. I mean, I may get you may get one live look at a pro player at a game, but in NFL games, you're not allowed to go down to the field and see body types and see them up close. You're not allowed to do that. So pro scouting is a lot of just tape. So I'm kind of used to that. Now our scouts, yeah, they were home for a lot of the fall. They couldn't get out to colleges. They couldn't talk to coaches face to face. Couldn't talk to players face to face. The one lucky thing we had, and Jim Nagy at the Senior Bowl did a great job running the Senior Bowl, without a hitch, having all those players there. All of our scouts were at the Senior Bowl, so they could at least talk to some players face to face. Now, there was plexiglass in between, but at least you can get a feel for them right in front of you. So we got a chance to talk to a lot of players there. But when it comes to trying to find background on football players, I mean, you can talk to them all you want. You may get a little bit of what you need, but you really need to talk to who recruited them, who coached them for 3 years or 4 years. Talk to all the people they've been around on an everyday basis. That's kind of what we concentrated on. But there's no doubt there's a lot of players that came in our building that I had never met face to face at all. So it was different, but I wasn't worried about it. Just a different way to do it.
Boy, I'll tell you a couple more questions here for you, Tom. Here, the 2021 season. Is this fair to say? And I think you know me because I'm a little bit kind of like sneaky on this. I'm going to throw this at you here. Is this the best roster that you've put together since you've been general manager? I can't. I don't even know if I can finish it. The best roster that you've had since you've been there with the Chargers.
You usually ask me to put a letter grade on the roster, and I always tell you I'm not a teacher.
No, I did that to Jeff Ireland, and
yeah.
He's the only guy I've had so far that fell for it. You knew right away, right out of the gate, that wasn't going to fly.
Yeah, and I have no idea. You don't know how good you are until you start playing games and see what your record is. So the one thing our philosophy is here, though, is we're not just acquiring talent. We're not just signing or drafting players to put them in a portfolio to show people, hey, look at all these great players we have. We're trying to build a team. There's a big difference between those two things as far as make sure the players complement each other, their skill sets, the scheme, the culture. So, but in the end, we're just all graded on how in the wins and losses. You can look at a roster on paper, it may look great, may not play well. So, and I've had that here before. So I thought there's some teams I thought felt really good about coming out of training camp. We didn't play as well. So obviously the team wasn't as good as I thought. I like where we are right now, but I mean, everyone can say that. So, but we'll see in training camp and we'll get moving.
Hey, if you want love, buy a dog. That's what I tell general managers, right? Hey, one last one here for you. It's got to be cool, man, that, last year through the pandemic, nobody got a chance to see that spectacular stadium that you're going to be playing in SoFi, and it's the home of the Super Bowl this year. Then you're going to be able to get the fans in the building. And then really, Tom, I think that's where the Chargers are really going to start building their true fan base now, because like you say, you've acquired all these guys. You've got a Pac-12 guy that's your quarterback who's going to be a superstar. Now you get the fans. This is really, I feel, don't you, a little bit that this is when the Chargers are really going to make this push in Southern California on being a brand.
Yeah, I mean, we know this is a long-term build. We understand that. But this is a big market here. So on the football side, I mean, our business side and social media, community relations, done an incredible job here. I mean, just think about community relations in this area with 18 million people. It's a very difficult job. They've done a great job with that. Football side of it, we need to do our part. Part of it is just being an exciting team to watch on the field, especially out here. We want to entertain, want to put points on the board. We don't want to play 13 to 10 games with, running the ball 40 times and playing good defense. I mean, Brandon's a defensive coordinator. We're going to play good defense, but we want to play exciting football. And then the stadium itself, the stadium is amazing. I mean, I've been to every NFL stadium, obviously. I've been to God knows how many college stadiums. I don't get that excited about football stadiums. They kind of are what they are. This one's just different. I mean, it really is. It's stunning from the inside to the outside. And for the chance for our fans to come in and see the stadium, see an exciting team, and understand, this is a long-term build. It's going to take time for the fans around here and to kind of fall in love with the team. And that's our job to do that. And it's a fun to be a part of that.
Just more you guys on that roster of yours, okay? You've kind of like slacked up a little bit. More you guys on it.
We lost Denzel Perryman in free agency, so we're down. Yeah, we're down a couple, but we'll get it back.
Hey, Tom, thank you so much for this, man. I root for you big time, and I think you got one of the best rosters in the AFC, and I'm so looking forward to seeing Justin Herbert. I think the kid is a superstar. Thank you so much for doing this.
Anytime, Dan. Thanks for having me out.
You got it, man. That's Tom.